So everybody is playing three-dimensional chess, whether it's in life or in the business. You're a leader in different areas. So the book is focused on four different perspectives. Leading up, becoming a trusted advisor, because usually when I get called in, it's usually a bull in the china closet or someone who isn't speaking up the way they need to, and they're on the leadership team. So I help turn them into a trusted advisor for the CEO or for their leader. That's the first place. That's also gets, personally, that gets me more bang for the buck, because I get a call from the CEO, go, what did you do with John or Katie? Like, oh my God, they transformed. So now my credibility is there. Then we talk about leading on a team of leaders, leading across, because what people forget is that it's like a co-opetition kind of thing. You're all on the same team. You're all rowing in the same direction. If the vision is properly set up and the leadership is properly set up, you're all trying to accomplish the same thing. But then you also have your own personal goals. You want to be heard. You want resources. You want your ideas, in play. You want to shine. So how do you shine on a team of other people who want to shine and create the support for your next promotion?
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we're going to talk about leadership from the perspective of developing the people around you and you showing up as a powerful leader. We have with us Mark Silverman. Mark is just an incredible coach. I've known him for more than a decade, and I've just respect the way he sees the world, respect the energy that he puts into things, the love of life. We have a conversation around leadership. His new book, the Rising Leader Handbook, is amazing. I really want you to check that out. We talk about the four aspects of leadership, which I think you'll be interesting to look at the four different perspectives or parts of that. We'll also talk about 100% responsibility, what that means and how that gets demonstrated and what it will mean for you as a leader. We have a great conversation today. My name is Gene Hammett. I'm the host of Grow Think Tank. I'm really excited about the work that we do to help businesses grow, to help leaders lead with power, and developing those around them is something we believe is necessary. You've got to turn your managers into leaders. It's not enough just to be managing work. So all that being said, if you want to connect with our brand, we have a very special experience that you can join us at. Just go to coreelevation.com/virtual conversations. These are unique kind of tribe of people that come in, the CEOs or executives of fast growth companies. And if you or someone on your executive team would like to join the next topic coming up, it is tough conversations. Tough conversations are something that we've written a book about, me and my wife, and we're going to talk about it and share with you. There's going to be some free gifts and free things there. So join us if you can for that virtual conversation. Just go to coreelevation.com/virtual conversations. If you sign up, you'll get notified, you'll get summaries, you'll get videos, and if you show up, you'll grow. There'll be other CEOs and other executives talking together. No pitches, no anything, just come and connect. Now here's the interview with Mark. Mark, how are you?
I am awesome. I get to hang out with you.
I get to hang out with you. I'm always excited to see your post on Facebook, and we've known each other for about a decade, which I didn't realize you were so new into coaching when I met you, because you were so damn smart.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But I know you've grown since then. So let our audience know a little bit about what you're up to right now.
I'm a father of 2 adult sons. I have 2 dogs and a fish tank, and basically coaching, writing books, and speaking around the country, just trying to help people navigate this stressful time, both just the stressful time in the world and then stressful time in the transition of the workplace. And by teaching leadership skills and teaching, kind of inner strength.
I know before we cut the recorder on, you said you wouldn't label yourself as a leadership coach a few years ago.
I couldn't say the words. Because I didn't want to throw my hat in the ring with all these ex-Navy SEALs and, all these people who are hanging from rock ledges and, let's eat meat and, throw iron around and be alpha male leaders. That I just couldn't I couldn't see myself in that fashion. And it wasn't until I was trying to figure out like what is the next chapter. I'm restless. I like to learn. I like to change what I'm doing. I have severe ADD, so I get bored of every success I've ever had. So what's next? And someone suggested, Mark, why don't you try talking about, writing about what you do all day, every day, which is the consistent thing has been I teach, I coach leaders in corporate America. I coach leaders, from the inside out. I coach leaders how to lead their teams. I coach leaders how to lead on a team of really powerful leaders and how to get your voice heard and get the resources you need, get the support that you need, and then also how to become a trusted advisor to a powerful CEO. So that's how the Rising Leader Handbook came about, is actually writing about my experiences over the last 5-6 years of coaching.
I definitely want to talk about the book because that's the main reason I have you here, because I think it's definitely a message that we need in the world. But I also, and I'm not going to coach you when I say this, but like your thought of it's only the SEALs and the rock climbers and the Olympians that are doing leadership coaching. I don't know if I ever would have connected those dots, because in my mind, I go, they probably know a lot about their stuff, but they don't know about people the way you and I have dived in to understand people, the patterns and the blockages that happen, because there's so many patterns over the last 10 years. And that's one reason why it's such fun to do what we do.
But that shows the kind of the limiting beliefs, the limiting perspectives that we all carry. I could be doing this for years and years, actually being a leadership coach, and never see myself as that, because I have a vision. I have a picture of who someone is. And it's funny because I went back and I went and talked to a bunch of people I used to work with. I even talked to my brother, who used to beat me up when I was a kid and I was an asthmatic kid. And I said, do you see me as a leader? And every single person was, you lead in every room you ever walked into. Mark, when you were a kid, you walked into the room like you owned it. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even have I didn't have that vision of myself. So I didn't understand. It was incongruent to hear that back. Now I understand my flavor of leadership, who I've been. It just doesn't look the way I looked outside of myself.
And the old adage I think applies here absolutely, is the people that they can't reach, you reach.
100%.
And there's people that you cannot reach. You can't reach some of the people they're able to reach because they're bravado or whatever it may be. And I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not a Navy SEAL, but I know one of the people we're probably thinking about is Jocko. He's got a huge, leadership business around this, and he's got a presence around him.
But even Todd Herman, I mean, Todd Herman wears glasses, and he's he's a lovely guy. But there's for me, there's a projection, there's an air about him that I think I didn't have. And that's why I would compare myself out to even someone like him, even though he's not a Navy SEAL. So that's the incongruence. And I think that goes into the conversation about leadership, and the stepping up to be a leader is, people think that it takes a real special sauce to be a leader. They think that people are born leaders, when leadership is a skill, when leadership is just the courage to stand up. Leadership is like to raise your hand and say, I will take point on this, and then figuring it out afterwards.
Now, Mark just said leadership is a skill. A lot of people think that people are just naturally talented at leadership, and maybe there are some people out there like that. But if you want to lean in to be a better leader, all you have to do is read and then apply what you're learning, and then be self-aware. Maybe get a coach to help you really grow through some of the blind spots, because that's what it's taken for me. It's taken for Mark and many of our guests today, is to address those blind spots and the limiting beliefs that we have. And you won't do that by reading. So if you really want to develop the skill of leadership, lean into it, take some action, grow, be willing to let go of the things that you thought were the way you were supposed to lead, because things are changing and you have got to change in order to be the leader that you want to be, and to have the following and make an impact. So I encourage you, my mission in this world is to change the world through extraordinary leadership. And I'm seeing people become leaders that weren't leaders. So it is a skill. Back to Mark. Well, good transition into the Rising Leader Handbook. Every author that I've had on this show, I think I asked one question: why'd you have to write this book?
Yeah, I tell people ask me about writing books, and I say, like if you want to write a book as a business card, or use AI to write a book, great. It's going to be hard. For me, I think I write a book because I can't not write the book. Right,
Mm.
the only tens wanted to be born. Right, sold 1,500 copies the first day. It was crazy. I didn't want to write the book. It wanted to be written. This book wanted to be written. This book was just tapping on my insides to put it all out on paper. For me, it was a great process to codify what I did all day every day, because before writing the book, I would say, it's hard for me to explain what I do. It's kind of magic. It's kind of confrontational. It's kind of loving. It's kind of this. And then when we put it together, there's a very clear system to what I do. There's a very clear steps to what I do. I just didn't know it until I wrote the book.
Well, let's dive into it. I know you've broken it up into 4 parts.
Mhm.
Give us the 4 parts, and then let's take one of them and go a little deeper.
So everybody is playing three-dimensional chess, whether it's in life or in the business. You're a leader in different areas. So the book is focused on 4 different perspectives. Leading up, becoming a trusted advisor, because usually when I get called in, it's usually a bull in the china closet, or someone who isn't speaking up the way they need to, and they're on the leadership team. So I help turn them into a trusted advisor for the CEO, or for their leader. That's the first place. That's also gets, personally, that gets me more bang for the buck, because I get a call from the CEO, go, what did you do with John or Katie? Like, oh my God, they transformed. So now my credibility is there. Then we talk about leading on a team of leaders, leading across. Because what people forget is that it's like a co-opetition kind of thing. You're all on the same team. You're all rowing in the same direction. If the vision is properly set up and the leadership is properly set up, you're all trying to accomplish the same thing. But then you also have your own personal goals. You want to be heard. You want resources. You want your ideas, in play. You want to shine. So how do you shine on a team of other people who want to shine and create the support for your next promotion? Then it's leading your team, which, a ton of books written on leading your team and leadership, and how do you inspire, how do you create a culture in your organization, that kind of thing. And then the most important thing is leading yourself. How are you the best in every situation? How can you show up when you're triggered? How can you show up when you're feeling like you're not being heard? How do you show up when you're just not feeling good? How do you show up when you're at your best? What wreckage have you created on your way up the ladder? And how do you create an entire life where your family is thriving, where your health isn't thriving, where your spirit is thriving? So I check it from those 4 perspectives.
I really love each part of this, and we're not surface level people, so I'm not going to ask you to give more summaries. So I'm going to frame in, I think, who the listeners are, so that will help both of us be in sync with this. But I think there's CEOs out there of fast growth companies that are driven, and what used to work doesn't work anymore. Maybe they've added people and they don't have the systems and structures of leadership. They're not leading their people probably as well as they could be, for sure. But they're also not really spending time with people, with their leadership. That's who's listening today. Hopefully I've got that right. And which element of the book, those 4 perspectives, could we go deeper into to really serve our audience today?
So for the CEOs, the thing that I've really noticed in the last couple of years is that the old you ever watch the TV show Suits? The
Yeah.
old the sweatshop. I coach a lot in private equity and investment banking, and in really high powered corporate environments. And that hammer, that drive for success, that maniacal commitment to the job is really hard to find now. COVID really shifted things. Both of my sons, are much more interested in pursuing a life and a lifestyle than killing it in a career. So finding those people who want to drive the way a CEO is going to drive is really hard. So you either have to find those people, which there's a lot of competition for that. A lot of them actually don't want to work for anybody, and they want to go live in a loft in Miami and work on a laptop and make $250,000 a year. Or you have to inspire them to the vision that you have. So that the leadership skills that we teach are even more important in order to inspire and motivate and get your organization in the direction you want it to go, because the old way just doesn't work anymore.
What specifically isn't working for these CEOs? Is
I
it their
think I think
blockages?
I think the shock is that internal drive for success that made them the CEO isn't in their team.
Yeah.
Like it's just not there in most people. Part of it is because people are a little healthier, right? They're not driven by some of the pathologies that make the uber successful, right?
Yeah.
You know, Michael Jordan is not going to win all those rings from a healthy, balanced place, right? Those things will eat him alive after he's off the court, right? So I think people are, you know, COVID really shocked people into life is short, life is unpredictable. I'd like to live my life. And my sons have said that. My sons have said, you know, Dad, I know you're a coach, but I work to live. I don't live to work. I'm like, dude, so much healthier than the way
Yeah.
I was homeless when I was 27. I was homeless, living in my truck, 135 pounds. You know, but I didn't get a college degree until I was in my 40s, right? I went from homeless to millionaire in 6 years, right? There was a drive in me to not be that homeless guy. There was a drive in me to prove something different. So I became successful from that unhealthy drive. But that unhealthy drive got me a big house and a sports car and a family and all those things, right? But again, it's not sustainable. So I had to find a different way of doing it. I think a lot of the people in the workforce now are seeing a different way. And I think they would like to marry a passionate job, a purpose in their organization to their life to be successful. And I think leaders are learning to navigate that. We were talking before the microphone came on about having a conversation with an employee and saying, "Are you happy? Right? How are you doing here and outside of here?" People underestimate the power of a simple connection conversation to inspire, right? To connect.
I think a lot of leaders are afraid to have that conversation. What's much more comfortable is where's the project you're working on? What's the next thing? Did you fix that problem? What do you need help? That's much easier than, are you happy at home? Are you happy here? Do you feel a sense of belonging? They're afraid to ask that question. Do you see that with your work?
I had one really driver CEO who I said, you cannot reschedule your next appointment with me until you've had 5 lunches or 5 cups of coffee with 5 different people in your organization and not talked about work.
Mm.
Like, as soon as you do that, you can reschedule with me. And he's like, you know, fuck, I pay you. Like, I'm not talking to you until you have 5 conversations. And came back 2 weeks later, had 10 conversations, said, I had no idea who these people were. I had no idea who these people were who worked for me. He says, I'm inspired. I want this company to be successful for them. I want to help them get where they want to go. I want to help them with their sick kid, with this, with that. And it lit him up to learn about his people, but he had no idea that was available to him. He thought reports are the way to go.
Everybody comes to podcast to find something practical and actionable that they can do today. And I think that what you just described, those 5 conversations of not talking about work, is probably going to challenge a lot of people. But if they did it, those that do will reconnect with the people that maybe they'll discover some things about the stuff they didn't know. But I love that playbook there. I want to switch back to the Rising Leader Handbook. Like, I know there's lots of models and things in there. What is something that we could highlight today that really would help the audience that wants to develop their people?
So 100% responsibility. Taking you know, you in the coaching world, 100% responsibility is not a new concept, but taking it into the workplace of, if your idea is not chosen in a board meeting, you take 100% responsibility for the fact that maybe the idea wasn't good enough. Maybe someone else's idea was better. Maybe you didn't pitch it properly. You know, what could you, you know, the Steve Martin thing, be so good you can't be ignored. What did you not do in yourself? If you're having trouble in a relationship in the organization, what are you doing to contribute to the that problem? If your people aren't performing the way they need to be performing, what do you need to change in yourself? Not what do they need to change? What do you need to change in yourself in order to foster a better outcome? Right? Taking 100% responsibility. If you're triggered and you're fucking furious and in fight or flight, what's going on inside of you rather than what's going on outside that's justified? What did that touch in you? I often tell my clients, you know, if someone's yelling at you, if your boss is yelling at you at a 8 or a 9 and they're just furious at you, if it's more than a 4 or 5, it's probably not about the thing. it's probably you are now just a stand-in for childhood trauma or fear or something else. 6 through 10 is something else completely. If they're kind of pissed off about a 3, it might be the mistake you made or something like that. Same thing with you. If you're at an 8 or 9 or 10, DEFCON 10, pissed at someone for something, what's going on with you? Are you scared? Do you feel out of control? Like, do you think you're going to look bad? What's going on inside? So taking 100% responsibility for everything that is happening in your life first, even if it's happening to you and if something's doing something to you, puts you in the seat of power and gives you the opportunity to create solutions to everything that you're dealing with.
Now, Mark's been talking about 100% responsibility, and I love this because it's really what I describe when I talk about taking ownership. When you feel like an owner of something, you are the person. You don't blame others. And one of the things I want to share with you is, if you've probably heard this before, we're writing a book, me and my wife, on how to have tough conversations. If you want to check it out, you can go to How to Have Tough Conversations and download the free framework. But I want to give you one little tool from them. If you are seeing and noticing a tough conversation in front of you, one of the first things I want you to prepare for is, how have you contributed to it? Take ownership, 100% responsibility of some element of this being, where we are. Reach deep into yourself. Maybe it is, I didn't explain this well. I didn't set up expectations. I did not really make myself clear. It could be deeper. It could be something that you have missed, a bias, whatever it may be. How have you contributed to it? I encourage you to do that before you have that tough conversation. If you want to download the framework, go to How to Have Tough Conversations. It'll be right there for you. And if there's anything else I can do for you, make sure you let me know. Now back to Mark. Hopefully this has been a pretty good tease on what's in the Rising Leader Handbook. Mark, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the podcast.
Thank you.
Wow, what a great interview to leave you with. I really love his perspectives. The book is something I would recommend. The Rising Leader Handbook is something I want other people to know about. So that's the reason why I've had Mark on the show before, but also I just think he's sharp as hell. So all that being said, when you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, leave with courage. We'll see you next time.